Thank you for attending Clearfly's portal training, Understanding Projects and Orders. My name is Tom Hall, and I will be your host for the next 20 minutes or so. During today's session, we will be covering how long projects and orders typically take and what can affect those dates, what information is required to have a successful project, and understanding the porting process. So let's go ahead and get started. We will be looking at the Clearfly demo portal for this training session. As I've stated on many of the other presentations, your view may look a little different when you log into the Clearfly portal, depending on your permission levels. For this presentation, we are going to focus on the management, support, and provisioning dashboard. If you do not see the management, support, and provisioning dashboard, it most likely means that you do not have customer permission levels. So you'll need to reach out to your primary contact at Clearfly or your system administrator, and they can add those permission levels to you. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right in and take a look at the projects. Let me back up for 1 second. As you can see, if you have this permission level, you will be able to see the number of projects that are currently ongoing. So it may say projects 3, which means there's 3 ongoing projects. If there are no ongoing projects, of course, that will be empty. All right. So we're going to jump right to the projects here. As we can see, there's 3 active projects. P1001, which is for Widgets Inc., P1000, which is for Duo LLC, and project P1002 for Dunder Mifflin. All right, so we're going to look at a couple things here. Of course, as you've already seen, it does have the account number as well as the name and the project number. It also will tell you whom at Clearfly is the project manager. So for these examples, it is Michael Bluth, and they're both, or all 3 of them are new, and they're currently pending. And the status is normal. All right. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at P1000 for Duo LLC. We can come in here, click onto the project. We can see that Michael Bluth is the manager at Clearfly. The implementation manager within your organization is Joe Smith. The email address that's associated with Joe Smith is agent@agent.local, or whatever your email address is for that implementation manager. Again, it's just a recap. This is Project 1000. The account number name is Duo LLC, and their account number. And it is currently in a pending state. All right. If we scroll down, every time a project is started, the folks in the Clearfly orders department will post more or less these questions. Now, it may be a little bit more detailed if you have multiple locations or if you have multiple 911 registrations, but in general, they're always going to ask these questions. Please list the porting numbers. List listings with the local phone directory for 411 purposes, or white page listings. All right. They're going to ask requested port date. It's also going to have a highlighted little comment here that says, please note any change to the FOC port date will result in a $10 per number change fee. So you're going to need to make sure that you request the right port date. All right. Once an FOC is given, then any changes to that it could end up being quite expensive, especially if we're porting hundreds of numbers. So make sure that you have the right requested port date. They're going to ask you for the name and the email address of the person authorized on the porting from the account. They need to send a letter of authorization, giving Clearfly permission to request those numbers from their existing carrier. So we're going to need the name and the email address of the person who is authorized on that previous account. Current and complete bill copy for the porting from account. A lot of words, but we need a copy of the phone bill. All right. Outbound calling name, so the CNAM. So it can be up to 15 characters. What would you like that CNAM to be? Number and address to be programmed as caller ID for any 911 calls. So if you do have multiple 911 registrations, we're going to need to know what the phone number is and what the address is associated to it. And then again, I understand that on the quote itself, it's going to list out the phone numbers that you need, but this is a double check. We're going to need to get a quantity of new numbers that you want to have created for this account. All right. The easiest way to answer these, of course, you can always send an email to the orders@clearfly.net. But the easiest thing to do is just simply highlight this, copy it, paste it up here, and put your answers. And then click Add. The project manager at Clearfly will get notified that you have provided those answers. And it is also just a sanity check that everything has been answered. All right. So let's talk real quick before we jump into some of the other information. As I mentioned on the previous slide, some of the topics that we're going to cover is how long does a project last? That is truly going to be up to what types of items are in the project and how responsive the losing carrier is going to be. All right. So if we're not porting any phone numbers, Clearfly can, as long as you provide the relevant information here, all right? So if they post it and you respond the same day, Clearfly can turn up a voice group within 24 to 48 hours. Getting new numbers is going to take a matter of minutes. So once that voice group has been created. So realistically, you could possibly have service available within 24 hours. Probably want to give yourself about 48 hours, maybe 72 hours, but it's very rare. All right. If you participate in some of the later presentations about how to create your own orders, then I'll actually show you how to do all of that stuff yourself. Create the voice group, create the new orders, start the porting process. All right. And if you're controlling that portion of the project, particularly the turning up of the voice group and getting new numbers, realistically, that is going to be dictated at how fast you enter that information. So again, that is going to be on another presentation. But so again, to recap, if we're not doing any porting of numbers, possibly 24, more likely 48 to 72 hours, and you'll have those numbers and the service turned up. Okay. If we are porting, the process is very simple. Once we get the LOA back, and if the customer that is supposed to be signing the LOA sits on it for a week, well, we can't start that porting process until we receive that. So you may need to reach out to the customer and just make sure that they complete the LOA so we can go ahead and request the number. Once we have contacted the losing carrier, that carrier has, I believe it's 3 days. I could be wrong. The orders department could verify that. But they have a certain number of days to respond to our request. If they do not respond within that set number of days, we're going to request again. If they don't respond again, then we can file a complaint with the FCC. All right. Most carriers respond within that given allotted time, because they do this often as well. So they know it's important. So let's say it's going to take them 2 days, possibly 3 days to respond. At that point, they're going to either accept our requested port date, or they're going to reject it and offer another date and time. If they do not accept it and they offer a different one, then Clearfly's orders department will add a comment in the portal notifying you that they could not port on that day, and this is the requested, or this is the recommended day, and then it can be a back and forth transaction until everybody agrees on the same date. Okay, once that date has been agreed to, it will show up in the orders process in the project as an FOC, firm order commitment. All right. Typically, a port is not going to happen any quicker than 2 to 3 weeks out. All right, so just keep that in mind. I've seen it happen faster. I've seen it happen within a week, but it's very atypical. So again, if you're going to be porting a number, please make sure that you let the customer know that, you know, the faster they can sign the LOA, the faster you can sign this or complete this information, the quicker we can start that process, because it's going to be about a 2-week process. So 14 to 21 days. All right. Once we get that, then everything is moving along and you'll be able to track that process. All right, so let's go and actually look at a project that is in place. So this is a new one, nothing's really going on here. It's just started. So let's go back to the home screen. Let's come back to the projects section, and we're going to look at P1001 Widget Inc. Now on this project, we can again see that this has actually moved along. So there's currently 10 orders for this project. And actually, if we go back and we come to widgets, you'll actually see that they're showing 9 orders. 1 must have already been completed. All right, so if you're looking at that customer's account, it'll tell you the number of orders and projects and so forth. I personally prefer coming to the project's dashboard, come into the project itself, and there's all of those orders. And yes, so the reason the account showed as 9 is because this order here is complete. Okay, so in this list here, we see we've got 2 local port orders. One, the provider has issued a date. All right. The other one is still pending. Why it may be pending is we could have requested this port based on an initial set of numbers that we're going to port that you provided us or the customer provided to you. And lo and behold, after we requested the port, they came up with another number that needed a port. Once we have a port request in for a specific carrier, we can't cancel that. Well, I guess we could cancel it, but if it's already progressing forward, we're going to wait for that initial port order to complete and then submit a second port order on that account for the missing number. All right, so that's probably why we have 2. Could be another reason we could have 2 local port orders is because this is with one carrier and this is with a second carrier. All right, and we haven't gotten any information from that. We're going to look at these orders a little closer in just a moment. The local number or direct inward dial DID orders, those are going to be new numbers. All right. and we've got 2 of them that are currently pending, and we had a 3rd one that was completed on April 30th. There's a toll-free port, and so that's going to show up as separate. Just a little hint on the toll-free. Oftentimes, the losing carrier will just, as soon as they release that number, it's released. All right, it's not on a scheduled date, not on a scheduled time. As soon as they get to that number, they're going to release that. So if you have a toll-free number that is porting, you need to make sure that that number is entered in that or programmed into that phone system. And if the customer contacts you and says, hey, our toll-free number isn't working, immediately call Clearfly and we'll activate that. All right, we don't get notified when they release it to us. So unfortunately, it's just the way it is with almost every carrier. All right, so that's just something to keep in mind with toll-free ports. The voice group is setting up the Clearfly service. We have a voice group order in, it's currently pending and it's not complete. This is for a circuit. Clearfly is no longer doing circuits, so this is getting irrelevant. The Cfax, so we have a Cfax service that we're turning up on this phone number, and we're also shipping an ATA. So it's going to show as an equipment order. Okay. Let's go ahead and look at some of these orders themselves. So if we look at the port order, the first one, there's some information here. It's a new installation. It's a local port order. It's for the project, the company, and it's going to be attached to voice group 1. All right. We'll look at the voice group order in just a moment. The LOA has been completed, so we already have that in place. We've requested the date of May 5th at 7 p.m. and we're currently waiting for a firm order commitment from the losing carrier. All right, so we've provided that date, which means provider issued. As soon as that changes to a firm order commitment, the status will be FOC. All right. Come down, there's the phone number that we're going to port. And as I stated, it's currently in provisioning. And that's pretty much it. So that is how you can look at the status of a local port order. If we go back and we look at the next one, all right, this one is, again, it's going to be a local port order, it's pending. This is going to be for the fax service, so there's a related order, so it's going to indicate that. And we're currently waiting for it, okay? Go back again. The local numbers are the DID new order numbers. If we look at those, requested count is 3, so we're going to be getting 3 numbers. They're going to come from the Billings Rate Center. And we just have not submitted the request as of yet. Okay. I think the next ones are going to be the same. This is going to be a manual search, so apparently on this order, we're going to be looking for a specific number. All right. Clearfly cannot do that. You as a partner or a customer can. And again, when we get into creating your own orders, which will be a different training session, I will cover that. And this one here, which was complete, if we look at that one, status is complete. There were 6 numbers. Here's the list of the phone numbers. and what voice group they're tied to. Most of your customers will only have a single voice group. All right, but some of your customers may have multiple phone systems, meaning that they've got multiple voice groups. So you'll be able to tie the phone number to the specific voice group. All right, the CNAM on this one was widgets. Again, we requested 6 numbers out of the billings rate center. And the assignment method was automatic, which was we just randomly requested numbers and we got the first 6 numbers that were given to us. All right. Toll free, if we look at that one, again, this is the number that we're requesting. It's currently in a provisioning state, and it's going to ring to itself, so it's going to function as a DID. All right. If that number needs to ring to a local number, we will ask you for that information, and this field here, the rings to field, will show the number that we're going to point that that toll-free number to. All right. We're going to come down to the voice group. So the voice group here, it looks like this is going to be another voice group, and it's going to have 8 SIP trunks. There's no multi-location trunks, so there's going to be no additional 911 registrations. And we do not have a CNAM or a calling name programmed in there, and we don't have the directory number, which is the number that we build this voice group on, has not been set as of yet. Okay. We're going to skip the circuit order because, again, it's not relevant anymore. And let's go ahead and look at the Cfax equipment order. So if we click on here, it's going to show you the ship to name and the ship to address and the status pending, which means it has not shipped. Okay. Once it has been shipped, there will be the tracking information will be provided, as well as the asset number for that piece of hardware. If we look at the Cfax order, again, it's going to show the phone number that's associated with it. It shows the Cfax plan. So is it a Cfax 250, 750, 1500, 3000, on and on, any of the Cfaxes that plans that we have available. It will show that this is an existing number, there's the phone number, and the ship ATA, the ATA is shipped on a different order. So it's going to show no. Okay. All right, let's go back. So those are really the orders. Just keep in mind, Clearfly's orders department will often add comments to the order itself. Once the orders are created, they're going to want to try to focus their comments on specific orders. Really, it just kind of keeps things focused on that and everything in its proper category. So they may stop posting comments here once all the orders are in place, and they're going to start posting comments in the order itself. Okay, so you will get notified if you're a watcher. All right, if you need to have somebody else watch these specific orders, then you're going to need to let us know so we can make sure that we add those. All right. You might be able to, well, you will be able to also add other people within your organization as well as the customer itself by simply clicking the add button, finding their name, and adding them. All right. So maybe we wanted to add Jane Doe to this. All right. Or add Joe Smith. Okay, so that's that's really it. I mean, that's the process. We're always going to build the voice group first. Again, that'll take roughly 24 hours, depending on the day and the time that you submit that order or the project is created, I should say. We'll probably turn that voice group up in 24, possibly 48 hours. And then we'll build everything else after that. All right, let's take a look. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. That's really what I wanted to cover. As I said at the beginning, we wanted to cover how long the projects and orders typically take last and what can affect those. And again, the thing that affects those is how quickly the person signs the LOA if we're porting numbers, and how quickly you answer the questions that the Clearfly orders department posts in the comment section. So if you don't answer these questions, we're not going to be starting the project at all. So these are incredibly important. What information is required, and this pretty much covers everything that you need. All right. Okay, so that is what I wanted to cover in this presentation. Here are the contacts in the Clearfly orders department. We have 3 really, really great, experienced, knowledgeable ladies that currently work there. Ray Van Spore runs that department. She has been doing this a really long time. Very, very helpful and willing to help you if you have questions. Sabre Noble, same scenario. And we recently added Kelly Williams, who had worked for one of our partners in Billings, Montana for quite a while and understands the porting process and what is required as well. There is the Clearfly orders department, their phone number, their option number 3, and their email address. I will strongly recommend that if you are sending a question or have a question for the orders department, always send it to the orders@clearfly.net address versus the individual people's email. If Ray is on vacation or Sabre or Kelly and you send it directly to them, you're going to need to wait until they get back in order for them to reply. Whereas if you send it to the orders@clearfly.net, all 3 of them get that email, and any of the 3 will respond to you in a very quick manner. Okay. Well, thank you so much, folks, and have a wonderful day. And just understand that all of us at Clearfly appreciate you immensely. We know that our success is built 100% on your success, so we are here to help. Thank you.